Hey friends, it's Missy and I'm back with a new layout. This one is for Precious Remembrance Shop, and I'm going to be featuring some stamps on this layout from 3 different stamp sets. This is the New Day stamp set, and I'm going to use those fun circles. This is called This Moment stamp set, and I'm going to use a couple of words and things from that. And this is the Date stamp set. And I love how this layout turns out because I did some stash busting, and I've been wanting to use some stash up for a while, and I wanted to also create a fun background using those 3 circles. You can't go wrong with circles, and I love using stamps in different ways to create fun backgrounds, and so this just kind of takes a life of its own. I had the Dear Lizzie documentary collection pulled out for another layout, and I just wanted to use a bold paper, something different. And I'm going to settle on this kind of wonky, crooked grid black and white paper. It's actually not dark black. It's kind of like a smoky grayish black. And I really like that it's kind of crooked and not perfectly straight. So I'm just going to cut part of it and use that on the left side of my white cardstock here. And this is going to be a little bit different color scheme for me because I'm going to wind up pulling in 2 other different collections that actually match together really well. And I'm going to use a black and white picture. Now I know that I'm going to do my stamping over on the white cardstock part of this layout, and I'm also going to do some mixed media, and so I'm going to start with some white acrylic paint here. I just want a smooth, crisp, slick base, and gesso is kind of gritty and the acrylic paint is nice and smooth. So I'm going to do some embossing. Now this is basically the same thing as an embossing pad, a stamp pad. It just comes in this little dauber, and I got that from Michael's a long time ago. Anytime that I do embossing, which is not that often, I love this. I use it a lot. I mean, it's the only one I've ever bought, and I've never run out of it because I don't use it that often. But all I'm doing is dabbing it onto the stamp and then stamping it right down onto the cardstock, and this worked great over the acrylic paint. I do run into a little problem coming up here soon, but it actually worked out to my advantage, and so I was fine with how it turned out. Now you can't really see what I'm stamping, but I'll show you here up close in just a second, and you can see it reflecting in the light. But the stamping ink, or stamp, what is it called? It's kind of like I said, it's kind of like an ink pad. It's just in liquid form. It's wet right now, and you can kind of see here in the light. There you go. Now it's still wet, so what I'm going to do is take my embossing powder, and I wanted gold on this layout for some reason. I've been in a sparkly, shiny mood lately, and that's just some gold Recollections brand from Michael's. Nothing fancy. And once you put it on top of the stamped image, you whip out your little heat gun and go to town on it, and it will instantly melt the powder, and it will be this awesome glittery gold goodness. And my idea for this was to kind of have the photo over there on the right there, kind of overlapping both the white and the pattern paper, and have a bunch of gold like confetti dots just kind of pouring out of the picture. I kind of done this design before, and I just like it. It always works, and it always looks pretty. And so I'm going to do some more. Now, here's what happened. For whatever reason, the embossing powder decided to stick to my background, and the paint was dry, but yeah, so it kind of, the circles turned out great, and this was definitely not the stamp's fault. But I don't know if it reacted to the acrylic paint or what, but you know me, I like a messy background, so I decided to make it work, and in the end, I think it looks fine. So my circles are done for now, and I pulled out a collection I think I've only used once. It's the Fancy Pants Happy Place collection, and it's a different color scheme for me. It does have my favorite colors. They're just different shades, and I'm going to use some of these light pink colors, a little bit of yellow, the mint teal color, and some pops of red. And I don't use red a whole lot unless I'm doing, you know, a rainbow design of some sort. So this collection, I wouldn't say it was hard for me to use. It was different, and I actually enjoyed it. And this layout came together kind of quickly once I got going with it. And all I'm doing here is going through the 6x6 paper pad and then the pack of tags there that already come with the string in them. They're awesome. And I like the pops of black through this too. And, you know, this collection also has some navy blue, but in some light it looks black. And so I'm just going to go with it. And I also had these 12 by 12 sheets from this same collection of punch out die cuts. I've got that big floral piece, and I love that the leaves are gray. It kind of plays off that slate coal gray in the pattern paper. And it's also got these fun feathers. And so I'm just going to start to tuck things in, and you know how I like to have my photos positioned to where it looks like the person is looking across the page. Well, that's kind of what I'm doing here. It looks like she's looking across at the dots. I don't know why you would look at dots, but you know, it's just how the page is going. I don't know, I was just in a circle mood, even though the background paper is a grid. It's mix and match. I just wanted to kind of go for it and see what I could come up with. It works for me. Now I'm going to use those awesome feathers over on the right and just kind of layer those together. And I'm going to start to glue everything down as is because I don't want it to move. And so once I glue it all down, I can move the whole thing as one unit. And I know that that little cluster, or that big cluster, is going to go right there. But I want to do some mixed media work on the background first. So I didn't want to glue it down to the background, but I wanted it to stay together. So that's done. So now my dilemma was, what color am I going to put on the background? And I decided to go with a pink at first. And of course I pulled out my shimmers, because there's always a shimmers color that matches whatever it is that you're using. I've never said, oh, I don't have a shimmers to match this. They have every color you could ever imagine. So luckily I had this really pretty pink color. It is called Piggy Pink, and I believe it is a creamies, and it is gorgeous. It matches that soft pink color in this collection just perfectly. And so the nature of the embossed circles, if you've never done embossing, or you know, have ever tried it or learned about it, it resists anything that you put on top of it, because it's kind of like since the glitter melted, or the powder melted over the stamped ink, it's kind of sealed it. And so whenever I add anything that's got liquid in it, it's gonna just go into the white part in between the circles. And so I knew I was going to do this. This is why I added the white acrylic paint, because I didn't want it to just soak right through the cardstock. And over on the left, I'm going to use some aqua color, and that is called Well Blew Me Down. And this one is an actual original shimmers paint. It's a lot thicker. It's got some chunky glitter in it, so when it dries, it's super sparkly. I believe that was called Sunflower. I could be wrong. I've already put it back in my stash, but I believe it's Sunflower. It's a bright yellow. And I like mixing and matching. So I've got some creamies, I've got some sprays, I've got this thicker paint. And I was mainly just going for color. I didn't really care what form it came in. I just wanted the colors to match. And I'm just going over the circles. And like I said, it's going to resist anything that I put on top of it because it's embossed. And in the end, you can't even really notice the glitter that, or I keep saying glitter, the powder that's stuck to the background in between those circles. It kind of just looks like I added more sparkle, and I'm okay with it. So after everything dried, I whipped out my sewing machine and did some shiny gold stitching on each of those grid lines just to add a little bit of texture. And since I've got gold going on in the circles, I thought it would be fun to add little pops of gold over on the left. Well, this is just some fun foam. I use it quite a lot. I know a lot of people use it. It's awesome. You can get it at Walmart, like 40 sheets for $5, and it's got sticky on the back. It's great. So I haven't used black thread in a long time, and so I thought I would pull out the black thread and use that as a couple of, or use it in a couple of places to bring out the black that I've got scattered around the page as well as the picture. And I scrapped a photo very similar to this not long ago, but it was in color. And so I, of course, whenever I get the opportunity to take pictures of my kids and they're actually smiling and being still, I just go crazy and take about 1 million. And so I have lots of these types of pictures, and So I printed some in color, some in black and white. So if you're thinking, hey, I've seen that picture recently, you've seen one very similar to it. So now that's ready to go, since I've got my background done and I've got my thread down. And I also like the fact that the tags have the string on there, so that's just extra messiness in the background. Now these are from Pink Fresh Studio. I can't remember the collection, but I had them, hoarded them, never used them. They're really like foam, glittery, gorgeous words, and so I'm going to use lovely. Okay, now here's the second stamp set I'm going to use. This is This Moment, and I'm going to use a couple of the words and stamp above and below the picture. And that's one thing I love about stamps, is you can just use them, you know, in little bits, little areas like this. Right above the picture it says This Moment, and then I'm going to stamp also below, it says Captured. You know, you don't have to just use these kind of sentiments for cards. I love using these on layouts. They're those perfect, just little bitty details. And there's something on her eye. I have no idea what I dropped on there. I went through, I went through some more of my collections and realized that I still had a lot of the Life is Good, no, not Life is Good, wrong one, Life in Color by Simple Stories, and it matched the Happy Place collection. Same type of color scheme, yellow, teal, pink, red, black. So I pulled out some of my goodies that I've had left over from that and started to stick those down. I've got labels, I've got little circle stickers, a couple of flowers, and then I'm going to use some stickers here and layer 2 of the little open label stickers there and a couple of phrase stickers, and I'm going to write my journaling on those little label stickers. I came back to the This Moment stamp set, and I'm going to stamp this little open. It's probably meant for like writing a date in, or one of the stamped words that's on the stamp set. I'm going to use it for the date. And again, it's just another fun detail stamp. Underneath that, I'm going to stamp memories. I just kind of keep stamping until all my ink is gone. And that Today piece is another die cut set from the Fancy Pants collection. And then I'm going to add in a couple of these black clear stickers. I love clear stickers. Gotta have some black splatters, so I'm going to work on that. Not too many, but just enough to pick up the black. And then once that dried, I did a little bit of gold stitching down here just to add the detail and to pull from the stitching over on the left. And then I'm going to write in a little bit of journaling. And see, you don't even really notice all that glitter that was on the background. I keep saying glitter. Powder. Powder, powder, powder. It kind of just blended in with my messy paint stuff. I'm okay with that. Last thing I'm going to do is stamp the date. And this date stamp set is fantastic. I love the font. It's got all the days, the months, the numbers, you name it. And so I don't really care about the actual date, so I'm just going to stamp in the year. There. How many times have I said the wrong thing today? Anyway, there's the final layout. I love how this turned out. It's totally different color scheme for me, but I love it. It was fun to do something different, and it was so fun to use up some stash and incorporate these awesome stamps to it. You just never know what you can create. You know, when you pull out something that you've had for a while, you see it in a totally different light than when you first bought it. And, you know, adding the stamps to it and just creating your own background, it's lots of fun. So I hope you guys give this a try. There's some of my smudged powder. That's okay. You know, embrace the imperfection. That's what makes it look homemade. And that's why I love it so much. But thank you so much for watching. Check out Precious Remembrance Shop, link down below, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.